Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you follow the news in the UK, you know that any news regarding asylum seekers, GB News are always waiting and pouncing on every opportunity to record it to the public. Well, we've got it here again. They are reporting this time regarding an asylum seeker that went back to the country they came from, that they were seeking asylum from in the first place. And obviously, that's the chance for them to actually speak on the whole asylum seeking process yet again. So if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe. Let's get into it.
Matthew Laza. Carol, this is a huge slap in the face for British taxpayers. Asylum seekers are going home for their holidays.
Yeah, it just confirms what we've always known, that a vast number of people coming here and claiming asylum are economic refugees and not asylum seekers. And, you know, you touched on it before, it really is a massive slap in the face. This country has a proud history of looking after people who are fleeing war and persecution. And this is really taking the British people for mugs.
The problem with it they're talking about here is, the worst part is that what they're complaining about, it's always been part of the law. There are exceptional cases where people that are asylum seekers, when they flee one country to another, but in the country that they stay in, where they get refugee status, you can actually go back to the country that you came from for exceptional reasons. There's a reason this is the first root time they're ever reporting on that. It's because it's allowed in the law, and it's also only allowed in exceptional cases. Exceptional cases. You also have to take into consideration that this hasn't been done many times. There's a reason why this has been done, right? Okay, because it looks odd that they will allow the person to go back, but there's a specific reason. It has to be a very important reason, because if not, it does make sense. Why are you coming here if you could just go back there anyways? But it's for a specific reason, and there's a reason why it hasn't been done multiple times.
It is beyond appalling. If those people, we know who these young people are who went away and came back, so they should be deported immediately. The law here is quite clear. It says if you.
But they not do they? I don't think they realize it. That like they actually have to apply to go back. That's the. I don't think they actually realize that if you get a refugee status here, you can't just decide out of your own will to go back. You gotta get permission, authorization from the UK government.
You go back to your country of origin, it could lead to the withdrawal of your refugee status, because it means you no longer need our protection, which means you don't need our benefits, you don't need our houses, you don't need our healthcare. So now that we know that this is happening, we ought to send...
Asylum seekers don't get these benefits. They don't get the right to work. They don't have the right to NHS. They don't get all these things. They don't. Literally, they don't.
People back that we know who are doing it, but we won't. And you said it just there, it will never happen in this country. So the British people are being taken for mugs. We've known it for a very long time, and it's just, you know, if you can go home for your holidays, you can stay there forever.
Yeah, 2 months is the case.
Absolutely not. Come on, that's ridiculous.
One guy sent videos of himself doing water sports to the asylum accommodation people, just saying, you know, hey, I was having a great time back in Iran. But I mean, Jake, this is ridiculous. It was so bad in Iran for these poor men who had to flee persecution that they've gone back there for Eid.
Yeah, I mean, look, this really confirms what so many of GB News viewers think about the asylum system. It is just being played, and unfortunately, here in Britain, we are being played for mugs. The first thing is, there's virtually no asylum seekers genuinely in the UK, because there's no such thing as an asylum seeker from France. The thing about asylum is, you're meant to claim asylum in the first country you arrive in. No problem with France.
That's true. You're supposed to claim in the first country that's next to you, the closest, safest area, but it is not mandatory. That's the thing. A lot of these people, they live in a really, really important information there. It's not mandatory.
It's a perfectly nice place. Lots of Brits go there on holiday.
Yes.
Why are these people even in the UK at all? And then to have a situation where the Home Office issues them travel documents but allows them to return, so it issues them travel documents to go there and then allows them back to go on holiday in this supposedly worn, torn, dangerous country where they're going to be persecuted and murdered. It is absolutely absurd. And as you say, the Home Secretary's got the power to do something about this. We passed this through Parliament in 2022 when I was in government. use it.
Well, the thing is, this took a whistleblower from an asylum accommodation centre to do it. I guarantee you this is happening right across the country. What's the Home Secretary going to do about it, Matthew?
Well, what she should do about it is use the powers, as Jake said. There's going to be a bit of a consensus here, and stop this now. Not least because it does bring into disrepute the entire asylum system, and it absolutely and totally undermines support for... I mean, Jake, you say that...
To be fair, it is right. People, I think it's totally reasonable for people to claim, hey, if you're going to claim asylum seeking in this country, then you shouldn't have any reason to want to go back. I think that's totally fair. I think that's a reform to the asylum system that is fair and that can be made. I think that's reasonable and it's fair to be able to make that, for sure. I don't think it's too much of a problem. But just believing it's the government's fault. Like, it's not the government's fault right now. It's not. Because it's always been there before the government came into power.
People have come from France, but we do actually have safe routes for about 80,000 people a year who can come directly from country. And
so hang on a minute, sorry. So we do, because we hear a lot, don't we, about how there's no safe and legal routes.
Well, the problem that the charity says there aren't enough, that there's a cap on it, and the cap's too low, in their opinion.
But who was paying?
80,000 people, it's too high.
Who was paying for these so-called asylum seekers to go back to Iran? Now, this is really interesting for me, because they said they got the money from another asylum
Do we think it was from the goodness of his heart, Carol?
No.
Or do we think it might have had a motive?
Do you think they might be lying about it?
Literally, it's not like, oh yeah, I want to go on a holiday, so can I go back? Like, no, obviously there's no. It's going to be exceptional situations. I bet it's very, very important, because if that's the case, they would just do it for every other person. They would, but obviously they're not allowing it. It's probably because it's for exceptionally important reason.
Or doing something much, much worse than that, actually. So they're earning black market money. And the thing is, when this place where they were staying, this home where they were staying, was alerted to it, they just brushed it to one side. So everyone's getting paid, and they don't actually care about the rules or the laws. The only people that care are people like us who are actually paying for all of this.
I mean, it is. I mean, I think we can all agree it's absolutely... The most astounding part of this story is to find that, as far as we know, they were issued with travel documents by the Home Office who themselves are processing the system. It just makes the system a complete laughingstock. And it's right that Germany and Sweden have said, if you want to go home, that's fine, but you're obviously not in immediate danger if you're popping back on holiday.
British people, you know, for too long, ordinary hard-working Brits, and even, you know, anyone, doesn't really matter if you're hard-working, you might be retired, I don't care, have been looking at these boatloads of mostly men coming across the channel saying you are not an asylum seeker or refugee, you are on the take. You are here to con us all out of free accommodation, free education, free healthcare, free absolutely everything. And then you end up with a load...
No, they don't. They're not entitled to free healthcare, free benefits, free this. There's a reason why they can't work. There's a reason why it's to minimize how much, like, things they can actually get.
The lovely lefties go, oh my gosh, you're so horrible and racist.
Well, this guy, the guy who whistleblew on this actually said he was called a racist by other people for reporting it.
He ended up leaving his job. What this is, and actually, it would be so easy to sit here and blame the Labour Party. I'm actually sure this probably happened under the Conservative.
Exactly. It's a system fault. It needs reform, not the government's fault. It's not the government's fault. The system, the asylum-seeking process, just needs reform. Okay, this isn't like a detrimental thing on the government.
As well.
Yes, I'm sure.
But this does speak to the absolute incompetence of the British Home Office. They have a massive backlog of asylum claims when they should just have a big stamp that goes, no, no, send them all off.
But Jake, this is easy. This is easy to fix.
Absolute incompetence.
We know who these people are. We've got their names, got the documents, send them back.
Why don't we just, I tell you what we should do, why don't we just offer every single person who's in an asylum hotel now a free trip back home?
Yes.
And if they take it, then they can go and they never come back.
And then they will just come back. That's the problem. They will just come back. You need some form of mechanism that doesn't stop, that doesn't allow people to even believe they can actually come into this place. Which is, number one, a safe country where they don't have to run from persecution, or a mechanism you can put in place that deters people back. What is the answer to that? You can't just say, yeah, well, let's just make sure they go back. They will just come back anyways.
Matthew.
Well, I mean, you know,
that's what the Labour Party's doing, isn't it? That's how they've got these 24,000 people they claim they've deported. Most of them are volunteers.
They have removed more people. Well, I mean, people are leaving, even if they're volunteers. But just to go back to this, I think one of the issues is they were under 18 allegedly, so therefore, I suspect they were in fear of the courts. It says something about our courts, that our courts, you know, the sort of fear of what our courts might do is holding the authorities, as it were, back.
I'm not saying it's good. No, if they're old enough...
Keir Starmer had 2/3 of the government. He's got a massive
Absolutely.
majority.
My opening words
Change
were-
the law.
Yeah.
Change the law. Protect Britain. protect
Do what
British
Sweden are
residents,
doing. Do
Change
what
the law.
Germany are doing. We agree.
I mean,
do what
Sweden is
Sweden are
not
doing. Do what
a
Germany are
bastion
doing.
The problem is when you were in government, why didn't you do it in the first place? Change the law, change the law, change the law. If it's so obvious and it's so bad, why didn't you do it?
Right-wing
But
politics, isn't it?
yet again, British taxpayers are seeing. They already
Treated for
know. They
mugs.
already know in their heart of hearts that that hotel full of asylum seekers at the end of their road is probably full of people who are conning the system and are economic migrants at the end of the day. And now they see some of them. Oh, where they've gone, it's quieter here than usual. Oh, they've just nipped back home for a holiday, and then they come back again. Look, the solution for me is this. I've said it before. Say it again. Offer every single asylum seeker in this country the opportunity to go back home for a quick holiday. If they say yes to it, then you go, all right, you can't be that genuine. We'll pay for you to go back and then deny them re-entry into the UK. Get them off the taxpayers' bill. But anyway, there we go. A lively start.
I mean, first of all, the real problem that you just don't seem to get is number one. If you just send them back, they will just come back anyway. There's nothing stopping them from coming back. You need to put in place something that's going to deter them from coming back in the first place. That's number one. Number two, they don't actually take into consideration that this has been in the law. This is part of the law. This isn't something that's just on the government. This has always been in place. So trying to change this now, okay, let's change it, but don't put it on the government. They're just following the rules that's already been set. That's all that's happening. But obviously, because of the agenda that they have, it doesn't allow them to say it. But anyways, that's just my opinion. If you like the video, you can drop a like. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel. And if you have any difference in opinions, put it down in the comments below.